This video I'm making is part one of a two-part video, mainly because they're two separate topics, but you need the background in one to understand what happened in the second one. So this is part one. Yeah, the topic today is about bullying in the workplace and how I actually ended up losing my house out of it. So this part one is just a background story on the build up to that. So this is back when I was about 49, getting close to turning 50, so it's not too long ago. So a bit of background, I'm generally a computer programmer, so I have had a lot of jobs ranging from part-time to full-time. I've had quite a few contracts. I worked for small companies, large companies, and government, and I've been doing work at home long before I was fashionable with COVID. I mean, a long time before that. So anyway, this job I acquired was a government contract. So one of the largest government departments here. So I'll refrain from saying who it was. So this department I got a job from did have their own IT department, but funny enough, I was recruited directly from the director of operations, the director of the entire bureau, or whatever you want to call it, of this division of a public service. So this director was getting increasingly frustrated because he'd asked his IT department to provide this solution for a long time, and they just kept burying him in red tape and bureaucracy, and nothing was ever happening. So he got increasingly frustrated, so he hired a person directly to report to him directly and just completely bypassed their whole IT department. So that wasn't me initially, that was somebody else, and he was there for about 7 years. So I got to the stage where he had almost finished the product, it was about 90% complete, and then he got tired of it, and I think they were getting tired of him because it was taking him so long to do anything. So he went and found a job as a manager, and I got a less than a 1-day handover. So what I actually adopted was quite typical of a lot of programmers. It was all academic, it was all nice and clever and code like that. And the problem is it was really difficult to maintain, and it was buggy, and it just wasn't my style of programming. I actually like producing things. I actually like completing things rather than just... A lot of programmers actually like the process of development, so they like to fiddle and they like to play with technologies and they like to geek out and all that type of thing, but they're actually not that particularly interested in finishing it, because to them that means they're losing their work. So I'm much more interested in finishing the project, even if it's not the most nerdiest program you've ever seen. But what I do is very robust and very practical. So after banging my head against trying to get this guy's code working for months, I decided I'm just going to rewrite it, which is also a thing that programmers tend to do. They never like other people's code, so yeah, shoot me. So I rewrote the whole thing in about 3 months, and then I went to all the people, all the stakeholders, and I said, okay, can we get some acceptance on this product? I wanted to see if it's exactly what they wanted and what needed to be changed and all that. And I had the most difficult time getting any type of anyone to show any sort of responsibility in actually giving me the word if they accepted this or not. So basically no one wanted to make a decision about it. So while all this was farting around, I decided, well, I was getting bored of just sitting around at work all day doing nothing, so I rewrote the program again. And I rewrote it to be much nicer looking, with much better interface. So by the time I finished rewriting it again, a year had passed now. And then I went to the stage of trying to get acceptance testing again. And I hit the same wall. So I ended up finding one guy who showed some interest, and then I complained to the director and sort of let him know that no one's showing interest. So I ended up taking a lot of the initiative on my own. So I actually started setting up my own demos and booking people into it. They didn't want to readily accept. I actually had to go around and ask each of them in person. And then I had to write my own demonstrations, and then also help and user guides. So slowly but surely I started getting everyone on board. So once everyone was on board and they sort of saw what the programmers do, people were starting to get, excited about it. So then everything seemed to be good. Everyone was quite happy with what the program did and how it worked and all that type of stuff. So the director said, okay, now we need to get the IT department involved. So up until this stage, I had no contact with the IT department because the director knew that they would just hold me up. And straight away they started getting me caught up in red tape and bureaucracy and having to fill out these documents and do these documents, and it went on for a long time. And some of the requests they made were just totally ridiculous. They wanted me to send them packet analysis of things that were getting sent between computers and things like that. I mean, we're talking about bytes, not megabytes. So, I mean, really petty type of stuff. So believe it or not, I finished the program after about a year, the second version, and by the time all this was getting ready to be adopted and put live into the system, it was almost 4 years. So it was almost 3 years of waiting for the IT department to actually do something and pick up the slack. So at that stage, my contract had finished, and the director had actually asked the IT department to actually incorporate me into their department and make me a full-time. So he actually ordered them to do it. So they said they offered me a full-time job. It was a very low level, and it was probably half the salary I was earning as a contract, which is okay, I guess. But it was a full-time job. So mind you, I wasn't that old at that stage. I was 49. So once I was in the department, I then had all the permissions to deploy the program and deploy it on everyone's machines and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the background story on how I managed to get employed into this IT department and how everything went. Oh, and I should add, at this stage, the director was extremely pleased with me. He actually gave me a Business Initiative of Award. So they were pleased with what I did. And I'll leave it at that, and I'll continue the story in part 2 on how this grossly affected my mental health. Ciao.